The content discussed in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial or mortgage advice. Always consult with a licensed professional before making any decisions regarding mortgages or financial matters.
Welcome to the Canadian Mortgage Show. Here are mortgage professionals Alex Pang and Alex Shanks to cut through the BS and educate Canadians on all things mortgages and real estate.
And we're going to talk about the subsidy contract with Stellantis. For a $15 billion contract, not a single MP reviewed the contracts, not even the government lawyers. And this is almost like the plans that they're doing for building homes in Canada. It's like, you already know the one bedrooms don't work. It doesn't work here. And so again, it's just incompetent on so many levels. And the Stellantis deal is a massive showing of who is actually doing their job here.
So essentially they took the money and then laid off 3,000 workers. I mean, Welcome to episode 65 of the Canadian Mortgage Show. Alex Pang here alongside my co-host Alex Shanks. Alex, you look very bundled up and warm.
I mean, we live in Canada, man. It's colder here. There's frost on the road. It was a little bit slippery this morning. I watched, I don't know if you've seen this guy on TikTok. He's from Ireland, and he's just talking about like how a lot of people in Canada complain about like how cold it gets. I think Ireland, like the coldest it ever gets is like -10. And he's like making jokes of like, why the hell are people living where it gets -30? Like that's my freezer isn't even that cold. And it's pretty hilarious. I mean, luckily in BC, we don't really get that cold that often. But it is pretty hilarious. It's just saying like, why would you put yourself in that case, in that place? You're trying to kill yourself.
Yep. The easy answer is cost of living, and it's cheaper and more affordable.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yep.
So yeah, I had an early morning this morning. Yeah, we'll throw this up on the video side, but I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning to play pickleball at 6 a.m.
I mean, everyone doesn't know. Alex doesn't like to get up early in the morning. I'm pretty surprised here because I know he doesn't like to get up that early.
Yeah, I'm on this group chat with some buddies for pickleball, and typically we go like. This is indoor facility in the Greater Vancouver. If some of you guys know, it's called IPOP, and it's indoor facility, and it gets busy, especially during when outdoor is down season, when it's winter and stuff. So they have. It's actually pretty expensive during the prime time hours, like the 6 p.m. to the 10 p.m. slot. They're like $15 drop in, and I'm like, no way, that's a little too pricey. So they do have like late night from 10 p.m. to midnight at $5. Yeah. And some people in my group are like, oh, that's a little too late. I got to get up next morning. But I looked on the calendar. They have early morning as well for the same $5 price. And I put in our chat group, hey, there's a 6 a.m. slot if you guys want to do it, thinking that no way is anybody going to want to wake up at 5 a.m. Well, surprise, surprise. Everyone thinks, hey, let's do 6 a.m. I'm like, shoot. So I succumbed to the masses. I went to bed early yesterday. I woke up early, and it took me about a good half an hour playing to wake up. But yeah, I'm glad we did it. So nice. Moving forward, we're going to do every 6 a.m. Fridays now. So
Sam Fridays. All right. Well, that's that's
love of the game.
Yeah. I mean, I've been going to the gym usually at my gym starts at 5:30 in the morning. And so that's it. So yeah, morning's the way to get stuff done.
I can't do it. I'll just do it for one day of the week, but that's it. Yeah. So we got a pretty packed show. Do you want to lead us off?
Yeah, I mean, we got historic news and a historic agreement here with the Alberta government, and the Canadian governments have reached a historic agreement that will unleash the Alberta energy sector, creating tens of thousands of jobs and attract billions in new investment. I mean, this is pretty crazy here, Alex. Like finally actually doing something that I believe is like, hey, we're actually going to help Canada now. I mean, we'll see what BC says. I know that David Eby is very upset. I think he said he's losing sleep over this agreement. I saw it in the news there yesterday, and it's like, man, like we have to do stuff to create Canadian income. Like we got to stop sending stuff away. And so the big ones here, we'll just kind of go over the landmark Alberta Canada Energy Agreement. It's a no oil and gas production cap. Now, this one, I would like to know, like, well, what's the timeline? Like, what's the plan on that? To me, it's like, hey, great to say go do this, but like we should have an exit plan. No net zero power regs. Again, I'm fine with that. Like there should be a time period on that of like, hey, we're doing it for X amount of time. And then a new $1 million barrel per pipeline to Asian markets. This one, I mean, me and Brendan Ongleson, we kind of talked about it before on a previous podcast. I don't fully know if we need a new pipeline actually from Alberta to BC. We need to increase the flow of the current ones that we actually have. Right now, like they're not even at full capacity. And so we should be using them to get out to the other markets as well. So this one, again, it is going to create a lot of jobs, but I mean, that one pipeline cost well, actually, I think it was like $60 billion compared to like the $3 billion it was first going to cost the government. So that one, I don't know if it's actually going to be like crazy profitable. They want to do that 4,000 barrel per day TMX expansion, which that one, I do believe like they're just tying into an existing pipeline. So that makes sense. This one is the deep water port access for oil tankers. Now, we've always been allowed, the US have always been allowed to come into our waters. It's other countries that haven't. And so, again, I hope that we're now going to allow the other countries to come in so that they can actually start taking our oil.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what's really funny is Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault, in opposition, he resigned. And he's saying, citing risks to BC consultations and coastal ecosystem. So basically, him and David Eby are kind of hand in hand in this. And we're like, everyone on social is like, good riddance. He really didn't do much. And to be honest, don't let the door hit you on the way out. So, of course, the deal now heads to BC, talks with BC and Indigenous groups. But we've kind of detailed in the past, too, that this is a federal mandate. They don't need BC's permission. They can just go ahead and do it. Now, it is to to BC and Indigenous groups benefit that they kind of get on board.
How does that work? Like, I mean, the funny thing is obviously if the federal government ever tried to do this to Quebec, it wouldn't happen. It would be like a complete uproar. And so that's where I understand the frustration of like, how did the bargaining year happen with like Alberta and the federal government before like really BC should probably have been part of it from the very get-go. Like I understand like the discourse there of like, hey, why are you making a deal that has mostly an impact on BC actually? Everything here is like the pipelines going in through BC, the oil tankers. I mean, I'm all for it. I'm totally happy for it. But I can understand why someone would be upset. Hey, you've just done something without even talking to me about it.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Like you and I are just two people, but you and I agreement. Let's do it. Like if this unleashes, jobs creation and it, allows us to get out of this kind of recession that we're in, like I'm all for it. Let's do this. Speaking of which, talking about BC, so Nutrien is the one of the largest potash producers in Saskatchewan. Yeah. They decided on a port that's not in Canada, Longview, Washington. They're going to build $1 billion export terminal to ship their potash to Asian markets. Now, question is, why not Canada? Well, I mean, that's another lost investment to the States. Too much red tape. Our ports are congested. Labor disruptions are constant with unions and such. And we have so much regulatory approvals. It moves at like a snail's pace, right? So nothing gets moved. Of course, supply chains are unreliable. And, like Carney's modern economy is driving capital out of the country. Now, we got to give flowers for doing this deal with Alberta, but the whole Nutrien thing is not great. Now, David Eby, speaking of BC here, now we're at BC and we're throwing shade at our own premier. Yeah. He says he's deeply disturbed that Nutrien chose Washington over BC for its $1 billion potash terminal. Yeah. Well, Scott Moe, Premier of Saskatchewan, he kind of fired back and said, well, you banned oil from your ports and now you're shocked no one's investing in them. Well, surprise, surprise, shots fired. I'm like, I agree with you. If you're gonna,
again, this is where in Canada, we don't want potash. If this stuff was being burnt here, oh my God, it would be end of the world. But hey, we're fine. Go send it over to China. That's perfectly fine. And that's where, again, it's just we we have just this weird thing of, I don't want it over here, but hey, I'll sell it to you and you can go do it over there. That's fine. And that's where, yeah, I mean, David Eby saying that, like, that's just, it's, that to me does not make him look good. It's like, hey, you're saying that you want to be green, and be like, just go full green then. Like, if that's what you believe in, don't go half in the middle. Be like, oh, I don't want oil in my province, but hey, I might sell potash to China because I'll make money from it.
Yeah, it's the whole, I'm sure this meme's been around for years and decades. It's the graph that says, fuck around and then find out. The whole thing. It's basically that, to be honest with you. And it's well documented that the going green, the net zero kind of philosophy is not profitable. It's a high cost, low return venture. Like, it's an idealistic dream that it's not realistic, to be honest with you. Now, it goes on to say, like, we do have to care about the environment. It's not like we're going to be like China and just don't care and just pollute our skies and everything like that. But I mean, we do have resources. We have essentially a gold mine sitting in our land.
Yeah.
Why can't we cultivate it and use it and I'm not going to say exploit it, but to use it to benefit our country, much like Saudi Arabia does for their oil. We got to do the same.
And that's where, to me, like, there should be a plan of, like, this is where, like, I'm definitely more pro oil here, but I understand the green of, like, hey, if we just give Alberta, like, free reins here and these companies free reins, I mean, they're going to take advantage of it. And so that's where I think there should be a bit of, like, hey, we're doing this for 5 years. We're doing this for 10 years. We're going to make profits from it, and we're going to send some of those profits over to this side. Maybe more solar, maybe more thermal energy. That's where I believe there should be a way to, like, get out of this. Because if we just say no net zero power regs, or, like, no cap on it, I mean, these oil companies are just going to go nuts. They're not Canadian. They don't believe in the Canadian way of doing things. They're mostly owned by China Corps, and they're just going to go nuts.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so we wanted to lead off. I mean, this is a real estate pod, but we wanted to lead off with the breaking news that's happened this week. We're going to shift over to the housing side here. Per Wawa, there's a popular site here. Home prices as of October 2025. Ontario prices are down 5% year over year. No surprise there. Quebec is the only province in the country now doing really well. They're hitting all-time highs. And the reason being is probably their house prices has been affordable. They have been sensible on their immigration. They haven't let in the huge influxes the rest of the country has. And who else? Alberta, the once darling of the country. A couple of years ago when rates shot up, people were moving money to Alberta. Their hot market is cooling, and BC largely stagnant. So benchmark prices is 680,000, which is down 3% year over year. The average price in Canada, now take this with a grain of salt, because we see a large swings. Average prices, exactly. 690,000, down 0.9% year over year. Now sales, 40,000. This is for all of Canada, and it's down 6.3% year over year. But you know what? With this number, the majority of it is BC and Ontario that's bringing down the average. And I mean, is it 2/3 of our Canadian population in BC and Ontario?
I mean, if you look at this one chart here, it's pretty much only Ontario. Like, it's bringing it down. I mean, Alberta's down a little bit by 4.3. But it's Ontario that brings it down by 5.1, and that average just skews everything else. Everywhere else across the country is up. But Ontario, I think, yeah, like you said, is 60% of the population right in Ontario.
Yeah. So, I mean, the ones that are doing well, again, we talked about Quebec, and then the Maritimes here, PEI. Are we allowed to call Maritimes anymore? I heard it's called Atlantic Canada now, because Maritimes doesn't include Newfoundland. I'm just hearing about this whole thing. Yeah. So Atlantic Canada. So Quebec, Nova Scotia, PEI, New Brunswick, and of course Saskatchewan there because of lower home prices there in Newfoundland there. But yeah, BC and Ontario, I mean, we've documented that it's been struggling. And, I'm surprised BC's average home prices has increased 1.4%. So that seems odd, but it is what it is here.
Yeah, but again, that's where, I mean, really the market, like we've talked about this over and over, Alex, like your market in the Vancouver area is down. My area is like, it's boom. I mean, we're probably up in my area, probably 10% is probably the average price here right now. And so that's where, again, Vancouver deeply skews that, where I bet you everywhere else in BC is probably actually doing fine, but the greater main, like there, is just down.
Yeah. Lower mainland Fraser Valley is for sure down. So you remember Carney talked about the whole Build Canada Homes thing, 500,000 a year kind of thing.
We gave one good Carney thing here today, what he did with Alberta, but now we're going to bash on him a bit.
Yeah. I mean, details of the Build Canada Homes were quietly released this week. It reveals that the program is prioritizing 1 and 2 bedroom low-rise homes, and it lacks actual support for innovation. There's almost no 3-bedroom units for families. Like, there's no missing middle stuff. So we all know, like, the Build Canada Homes is going to be like container homes. You're not going to be able to own it. And you're basically going to be renting from the government, socialized housing, all that stuff. And you own nothing and be happy kind of thing. So
no, that's where even the ones like the
what are we doing here? I'm like, yes, thank you. I hope that this whole Alberta agreement is the start of your prime ministership turning around, because everything leading up to it has been not good.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, it's even the stuff that when they came out with the design plans for BC for like the middle housing, the easiest ones to be allowed to like get through, not have any development permits, they're not like practical whatsoever. Like, again, the people that are looking at this stuff has no idea. And I'm just gonna skip to one thing here just to kind of go over it a little bit, just talking about how incompetent the government is here. And we're going to talk about the subsidy contract with Stellantis. For a $15 billion contract, not a single MP reviewed the contracts, not even the government lawyers. And this is almost like the plans that they're doing for building homes in Canada. It's like, you already know the 1 bedrooms don't work. It doesn't work here. And so again, it's just incompetent on so many levels. And the Stellantis deal is a massive showing of who is actually doing their job here.
Yeah, I mean, like, speaking of Stellantis here, like, yeah, I mean, I saw the video where I don't know who was interviewing the government MPs, but he was asking questions like, "Have you not read the contract?" And everyone answering was not taking responsibility and backpedaling. Not Minister Melanie Joly, none of the MPs, not any of the government lawyers. So essentially, they took the money and then laid off 3,000 workers. I mean, like, what the fuck?
Like, that's where it's just like, it's just so wrong. And that's where, like, hey, like, the government, yes, you're not a business, but you do have a job. I mean, the person that does it should have been reviewed it. Someone else should have double checked it. Like in mine and Alex's business, like, we have compliance that we have to do. We have to show that, hey, did you get all the IDs? Did you get all that stuff? Like, we don't just get to send something and be like, it looks good. Speaking
of government stuff, Nokia is building a campus in Ottawa. So it sounds great, right? You would think, like, hey, we're finally getting innovation. They're building a campus in Ottawa, and speaking of Melanie Joly, she was like, "Oh, Canada is leading the global tech race. Today's milestone strengthens our digital infrastructure, drives innovation, and delivers results for Canadians across the country." You would think that's good news, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? Someone kind of poo-pooed that, and a big person in the industry, the CEO of Shopify, one of the few innovative companies in Canada. Yeah. The CEO of Shopify, Toby Lutke, called out the BS. And I'm going to quote his entire rant on X here. Okay. What you're actually doing here is bribing Nokia to put these jobs into Canada by paying hundreds of thousands of dollars per job from taxpayer money. What this does is to lower the cost basis of Nokia per employee. This has been going on for decades, called FDI. I don't know what that means, which all civil servants thinks is a good thing. I spent a lot of time explaining to civil servants in Ottawa that it's not good for our economy that American and overseas branch offices can employ Canadians at half the cost to all of the Canadian companies around them due to these subsidies. We should not do them at all. They're toxic, at least in the tech sector. It's never meant to be this way, but the situation that very often arises is it's strictly worse inside of Canada to be a Canadian company compared to a company headquartered everywhere else. This is a bad situation because the fruits of the subsidized labor will accrue to the wealth of other countries and not Canada. It's taxpayer money invested into locking up scarce high-tech talent in jobs where they no longer contribute to the Canadian economy directly. Why I should say this is a valid strategy with factory and manufacturing jobs, or even for bootstrapping industrial strategies around energy, data centers, or any of these kinds of things. It's a total brain dead idea to do this with knowledge jobs.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, this is even when we talk about like the subsidies that the government gives to people to come and work at Tim Hortons. Like these jobs, we know that this does not benefit in any way at all. And again, why would they hire someone in the right way? And again, these companies are just going to take advantage of it. Even if it's like, hey, we're going to do this for 2 years, they might use us and be like, okay, well, we're now going back to where we want to do it because we can do it cheaper over here. I totally agree here with them. It's just watering everything down, and it's not going to make anything better here.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I can totally see it, them coming into Canada is like, yeah, you make it totally cheap. Now we talk about like, oh yeah, we got to reduce government red tape and all that stuff. I mean, they are essentially doing it in some sense, but by doing that, you're making cheap labor. It's not helping the tech industry. Like,
Yeah, the only way, like,
you
we need
know,
to be able to pay people higher, and obviously, like, the buck is always going to get passed somewhere. If let's say that, hey, we keep increasing wages and inflations, well, the companies just keep charging people more to buy their products. We need to give some of these companies a way to maybe write off their debt a little bit differently, give different tax break. Like, we need to give something else for them to not keep passing the buck elsewhere. Like, we can say that, hey, we're going to give you money over here. They're not going to make their products cheaper because that they've gotten a subsidy. They're going to be like, awesome, our bottom end just now increased. We now get to charge the same amount that the market was already paying, but we get to pay people less. We've just made more money. And so it's does not help in any way. And I do know the what Shopify's done, like it is like the people that work there, they love the company, they get paid very well for what they do and everything. And they've just made the right culture.
yeah, yeah. I mean, let's hope with the whole Nokia thing, they've learned from the Stellantis and read the contract. If you're giving them all these subsidies, uh, make sure there's at least a 5 or 10 year agreement that you need to be in Canada and employ Canadian workers at
Oh,
market salaries or something like that.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's where it needs to be. Like, even when we talk about like the EV stuff, like that they've done in Ontario, giving these subsidies, it's like, hey, if you were not here for 10 years employing X amount of people, you owe us money. Now again, how are they ever going to pay it? But at least put some sort of onus on it. Show that you're actually trying to fight for Canada. Because right now it does not seem like they are at all. They're just trying to make their books look higher, increase some of that stuff to GDP here. But it's just going to be, it's a Band-Aid fix. This is not something that's going to help us. Saw a report that Oxford did in the US. Like, they're saying like right now, AI could take 11.7 of the jobs in the US instantly. Like, that's what they're already saying. And I mean, if we keep like dumbing the waters down right here, well, these companies are going to be like, oh yeah, we came here. Oh, we're just going to replace everyone with AI now. And like, it's a slippery slope.
Well, last time I remembered, Nokia doesn't seem to be leading the market anymore, right? Like maybe 30 years ago when I was coming out of high school, Nokias were great. They were like, those phones were like, you can drop them or whatever. The reception is fantastic. They're amazing. They last forever. I didn't know they were still around, to be honest. I thought they were like that
I
and
think
them and Motorola. I'm like, I didn't know they're
they
still
mainly
around.
do, I think they mainly do software now, to be honest. And I think like they do some more stuff like in the military world. It's
Okay.
I'd have to go into that, but I like, I mean, they still make phones a little bit, but I don't think that's like where their focus is.
Yeah. Well, we completely sidetracked from our agenda. We got to get back into the housing, shall we?
Yeah, it's I mean, this is where we get into like the really soft, like the payroll employment data. This is where it's just, again, we're showing how the money that people are making is not, it's not good. Like, we are not in a housing crisis. Like, this is like the price of homes. We have been in an income crisis for the last like 15 years here. Like, that is the biggest divergence of anything. Yes, in the last 5 years, homes went a little bit bonkers for prices, but even if they would have stayed at that lower, let's pretend 2020 never happened in 2021 there, Alex, we would still be such a disarray between income to housing levels. And that's really what has gone wrong in Canada.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, here is if you see the graph here, it's pretty flat. Like it's the big divergence between Canada's two main employment surveys. Payrolls are flat, and it's something that never happens outside of recessions. Now, of course, they'll say that we've narrowly escaped a recession, but we feel like we've been in recession for the last 3 years already. So,
Exactly.
yeah. And then the private sector employment's down 0.3% year over year. Yeah, I'm surprised it's not higher in terms of down more because all these job layoffs that we're hearing amongst all the industries. I mean, this payroll data, I'm sure it's balanced out by all the government spending that's been happening with hiring employees and all that stuff. But yeah.
Yeah.
So next up here, we have Remax Canada releasing its 2026 housing market outlook, projecting national home sales to increase 3.4% next year. Now, I quote the CEO of Remax Canada: "There is light at the end of the tunnel following a decline in home sales from coast to coast in 2025."
I mean,
Do you
what
take
else?
that with a grain of salt, or what? Like, I mean,
I mean, this is, I mean, Alex, where every person is in a sales. Like, this is the same as the government. They're never going to be like, oh, it's looking really bad. I mean, like, no one's going to come out and say that. I think it looks better, but I do think for us, I think next year is going to be slower across the board for mortgages and real estate. This year, like in many areas, it's been slow, but it's still been steady for some things. I think next year will be slower. Now, does that mean prices drop? No, but I definitely do not believe there's going to be a boom next year. It's not going to be like, oh, we were down, and boom. It's going to be like, hey, maybe we just stay steady.
yeah. To be honest with you, I mean, you got to. I mean, Remax is just appealing to their members and being optimistic. I'm glad you think like that, but no signs are pointing that it's going to improve. If anything, it'll probably be around the same as it was this year, where it's like it might get worse, it might get better, but it'll probably be flat to be anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
there needs to be more decisions on the tariffs, like really what's happening with the
yeah,
U.S. Like that's really what we need more data for.
yeah. Unless the tariffs, like if everything is still the same as today, then I doubt it will change. Now, if the tariffs all of a sudden gets resolved and all that stuff, then we recover. Sure, that's possible, but right now there's no signs of it changing. So
Yeah.
we hope Remax is right, but right now it doesn't look very probable.
Yeah, and then this is, I mean, now they're saying that Canada's economy rebounded in quarter three, driven by housing activity and government spending. Now, again, this is where they can move the numbers around pretty much however they want. They're saying that GDP grew 2.6 annualized, zero point 0.6 quarter over quarter, the fastest since late last year, and enough to offset the 1.8% drop in quarter two. And again, like what Alex and I just said, I don't know anyone else out there that feels that, hey, the economy is growing. The more I hear from it, builders are slowing down. Like the tech, like not even tech companies, people are losing jobs or having to move back to the U.S., which is going to drop our GDP. For one, our immigration, like the line of like how almost like that ink, like the change in payroll. If you look at the immigration line, that's like we've been steady, like increasing. 2021, boom, up $1 million, and then just instantly down. Like
Oh yeah, a million people.
no planning. Not of like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should taper this off. Crap, people are coming in too quickly. Let's slow it down a little bit. Just let everyone come in, and then oh shit, we got to turn the taps fully off. which is it's going to have negative effects on our GDP.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the immigration, letting in 1 million people, it's basically saying the government was artificially using new immigrants to prop up our GDP, and it wasn't going to last. And things were out of balance because we had not enough supply to make up for the huge influx in demand. And when the whole law of supply demand thing, there's crazy demand, not enough supply, prices go up, rents go up, and you hear all these diploma mills come about, and the student housing, the whole Brampton mortgage kind of thing with mortgage fraud and all that stuff. I mean, you'll hear that stuff about Surrey too, less so. I live in Surrey, but not in my area, but those kind of things. And there's a whole fallout of having things out of balance because of it. So yeah, this just basically kind of details it's down 35%. First of all, it shouldn't have been that. It should have been,
It's so high, and that's like why our
numbers. The reason it's down is because it was way too high in the first place. So if anything, it just kind of shows what we all been kind of expecting.
Like to me, what the U.S. is seeing, like that probably makes more sense. Like they've had to turn some of their taps off also, and that like makes more sense where their data is. But ours, and again, like, well, are these like maybe we're turning around the wrong people now? We let all these other people in that didn't even have degrees or masters or anything. And now we're not even going to let the people that probably could help better Canadian as a whole.
Yeah. And then what we talked about last week too, the people that we let in that are more educated, more skilled, we need to encourage them to stay, because oftentimes they're not going to stay past their 2 to 4 years because they see that Canada's not competitive. And we also need to make things more competitive. And I mean, from the top of the show, hearing about the Alberta Canada agreement, like, that's a step in the right direction. We need more of those things. This is not just a one and that's it. We need more of those kind of positive news in the right direction there. So, going back to the mortgage housing file here, Scotiabank says, they've received all the regulatory approvals for its deal to sell its banking operations in Colombia, Costa Rica, and Panama to a Colombian company called Davivienda. Now, they announced the agreement back in January to swap operations for Scotia to take a 20% stake in the Colombian financial institution. Now, Scotia has said the move was part of its plan to improve profitability across its international banking operations. So,
I mean, I feel like they just want more. They just want more control of it. To me, it's like, hey, I'm going to sell the banking portion of it, but now I'm going to get control of the actual financial institution, which I think anyway.
So they have a stake. They're like, okay, we're not going to, we're going to rather we sell that part to that company, but then we're going to take a stake. So we don't want to operate it. We'll just have a say in how it's run there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where, again, like how does a regulator, like how do they see that? As to me, it'd be like, hey, you're selling and you're getting out of these countries. Like, hey, you don't want to be here anymore. Maybe you want to sell like a large portion of your shares, maybe just be part of it. But really it's like, hey, we're selling this because we don't want to run it, but we want to have control and oversight. Like that's really what they want.
Yeah, I mean, 20% stake is not of a controlling share, but they're involved, but not on the day-to-day kind of thing. Yeah.
No. And now this one, it's Lee Holmes Realty, who changed their name from Coast Realty after previous scandals. I mean, anyone can just change a name if they want. They were fined $149,000 for non-compliance related to money laundering and terrorism. Now, what they've done is FinTrack mentioned 6 specific violations relating to the file, including the failure to submit a suspicious transaction report where there was reasonable grounds to suspect that the transactions were related to a money laundering offense. Now, I don't know if anyone's got a mortgage recently this year. If you're listening, you've probably realized we need to ask for more documents. For one, we used to only need to get one piece of ID. FinTrack has changed everything. We have to get 2 pieces. On our side, when Alex and I take an application, we now have to track that for the next 6 years. We have to prove that there is no money laundering, and there's more stuff that we have to do now. It adds more cost and everything. Even the banks, they have to do more stuff. Now, the bank's FinTrack is honestly easier than what ours is on the mortgage broker side. And they're saying they also found that there was a failure to ensure that a appointed person was reasonable for developing a compliance program. So they didn't actually have a person in the company, which you have to have someone at your brokerage actually taking care of this. Some of the more serious violations include mention of terrorism. I mean, I don't really understand, like, did they find emails? FinTrack said that Lahome's Realty Premier failed to consider the money laundering or terrorist act financing risk of its product and delivering channels and its clients and business relationships. And so, I mean, I'd be interested to know, like, why are they saying terrorism? Obviously, they have some sort of documentation. And again, I would want to know how many homes did this company sell? How much money did they make? Like, is 149,000 just like a slap on the wrist, or is it actually like, hey, you know what, you made 150,000 from these and we've taken that away from you? Or was it, hey, they made $1 million and they had to pay 150? Again, why would they stop? They're like, I got to pay a little bit of a fee and I'm good to go.
Yeah. I mean, at the height of it, New Coast Realty was kind of at the center of all this nefarious activity during I think this was probably before COVID too, where we had a lot of foreign buyers come in, and realtors this is before like being able to double end deals, and they were flipping contracts. Like, this is a resale properties, but having a clause there where they reserve the right to assign this contract to someone else. So what they do is when we're in a run up of home prices, they would sell this, and then or they would buy a property and they would sell it and flip it before closing to another buyer, and it would happen several times, and they would get the commission each time. So the seller who signed the initial contract with the buyer, that buyer is not ending up closing. It ends up being assigned 3 or 4 times. And
someone else,
for maybe a few $100,000 more to an end buyer, and in the meantime, the realtor would make commission every single step of the way for that. So the seller is like, well, I should have, like, if it went for 200,000 more, I should have sold, like, that should have been my end price. And they were in the middle of that whole scandal. That's why there's no more double ending in BC anymore for realtors. But yeah,
I mean, you get to do it in Alberta, and again, I just don't. I would love to know, like, how does a realtor explain it to a client? Like, hey, don't worry, this is a good thing for you. I have no idea how someone can come to you and say, hey, Alex, I'm going to sell your home. I'm going to get you the best price on that home. The buyer's going to come to and be like, hey, buddy, I'm going to get you the lowest price on this. Like, there's no, like, fiduciary duty there. The person trying to sell the home wants the highest price. The person buying it wants the lowest price. And so I don't fully understand how a realtor can say that they're working in the best interest of both people, because to me, they're not. Does not matter. You could be the most caring person in the world. I would give people free money. Like, I care, but I would never want to do that, because I'd be like, well, shit, either I'm giving this person the better deal or I'm giving this person the better deal. I can't give both of them a good deal.
Yeah, there's definitely a conflict of interest there, and glad that the BC Real Estate Association has gotten rid of that. So,
yeah.
Well, let's finish off with a final thing here. More news has come out about the whole Cowichan First Nations land claim here. A civil lawsuit has emerged from the Cowichan decision. The proposed class action alleges the federal and BC government failed to properly defend the rights of property owners caught up in the ruling. Now, according to CBC, this new legal action claims misfeasance, which is, in this case, means the wrongful exercise of legal authority. Yeah. Now, this was filed about a week ago now. It alleges the 2 senior levels of government misled property owners by continuing to assure the public that private property was safe, marketable, and free from material qualification, despite having knowledge of potential risks posed by unresolved Indigenous land claims.
Yeah, still taking the property taxes, and that's where, I mean, if this is another, like, let's say if I had a business, Alex, and I knew my business was going to be crashing, but you kept buying into it, that would be completely illegal. If I did not give you awareness of, hey, my business is actually going to crash next year, it's not going to be profitable anymore, you would be suing the crap out of me. And that's pretty much what all the people are doing here, saying that, hey, you guys did not let us know what was going on. You still had us paying our inflated property taxes, prices, and everything. And yeah, there was just no awareness. I've seen people saying, well, they could have searched it online. Like all legal cases are opened online. Is someone meant to go to Google every single day to the court case and type in their address or like the area to be like, shit, is there something going on with my area? Like, no, like that should have been the city's job to be like, hey guys, this is what's going on. This is what's happening, just to keep you aware.
Yeah, and I have to give props to Mayor Brad West. As soon as
Now,
it came out for Coquitlam and Poco, he told people about it. It's not one of those things that.
Now, was that, I wanted to know, and I love Mayor West there, but I wanted to know, like, how long, like, was their claim recent or was it years ago as well? Because, I mean, we have some claims here, like, this one's been going on for years. The one in Kamloops been going on for years. So I want to know, like, is the one in Poco, did it just happen recently? And did he go and tell people right away? Or has it been something that's been in the background and now is telling people?
Yeah, maybe, like, I suppose maybe the claim happened, but maybe it became official, like they have to file it, and then once it becomes moving forward as an actual kind of claim, like like the legal thing, then that's when Brad West had to be public about it. But yeah, this isn't going away, and more news is going to come up about it. And like, honestly, like, I'm hearing more and more people like hesitant to invest in BC or buy unless you're an end user, because you don't know whether like the land that you're buying or the property you're buying is going to be subject to a future Indigenous land claim, because 90 or 95% of BC is on unceded territory. So when clients ask us, the only thing we can say is we don't know. To be honest, we don't know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's going to add more, like, for realtors, like they're going to have to do more due diligence for their clients to be like, hey, yes, there is like a legal claim going on in this area right now. Like where we live, we do have like for certain areas, there has to be an archaeological look at, because if there's a certain type of soil and everything, you actually have to get the Indigenous bands to agree to be able to do work on that property. And so like that's something that's become an issue for certain properties. You actually have to have them come out, look at it. If it has that type of soil, hey, you can't disturb it without asking them. You can't even plant a tree unless you get their okay. And so that part's been already noted, like by the government, what has to happen. But I would say realtors are going to have to start searching like the actual legal database to be like, hey, is there a land claim in this area for this house that someone might be buying or selling?
Yeah, someone on X put up a site that you can search, and I actually searched my home, and I'm like, yeah, it looks like there is a sort of it's on unceded First Nations, blah blah blah, whatever the First Nations name is. But as of now, there hasn't been a land claim. But I'm like, let's hope it doesn't come up while we own this place here. I think this about wraps up our episode here. It's a little shorter one this week. Alex, what do you got going on this weekend?
I mean, it's we always get a real Christmas tree, and we kind of had to wait till like right near December here. So I think we might go out for a quad ride, go pick up a Christmas tree, get that. Everything else is decorated. I got the lights up last week and everything. But yeah, might go actually get the Christmas tree and decorate it.
Nice. So today we're recording on a Friday. Wife and we're going to go see Joe Coy. He's a Filipino stand-up comedian, and he's quite popular on Netflix. He's had a few Netflix specials, and yeah, so we're pretty excited.
Where is that? Where do you guys go for that?
It's at Rogers Arena. Yeah,
oh, cool,
so
sweet, nice.
Yeah, so we'll it's going to be a night out, and let's hope.
I'm going to give some props to Alex here as well, because I know that he's not going to talk about it, but for the brokerage that he's at, he hit the top 40, and him and his wife get to go for a nice conference for him and everything. And so that's a pretty cool feat there also, Alex.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, now that you brought it up, yeah. So our company does an annual summit out in Kelowna. So our office is Bricks, and the head office is in Kelowna. So they are celebrating the top 40, and I got an email saying, hey, Alex, you made 37. I'm like, hot dang, really? I'm like, okay, I had a better year. But so, and then I asked if I could bring my wife, but she has no interest in attending any of the conference stuff. Yeah. How much would it cost for her to share a room with me? I'm like, no, your spouse is free, and she can attend the evening gala as well. So awesome. So the trip is going to be happening in February, and my wife, she looked up where the hotel is in Kelowna. It's right beside the casino, and she's like, "You know where I'll be spending my time?" I'm like, "What? You mean all 15 minutes of it when you blow your money and just leave?"
It might be more expensive than her just staying at home.
Yeah, yeah. So, and another thing, oh man, my wife just threw shade at me too. She's like, "Well, the fact that you hit 37, I guess the company's not doing that well." I'm like, "What? Wow, thanks, woman. You're not invited to Kelowna anymore."
Exactly.
So, you know, of course, our spouses, yeah, of course, our spouses are cheerleaders, but man, they often throw the biggest shade too. So,
Yeah, totally.
all right, folks. Well, thanks for tuning in. It's a sunny day in December, or not December, but we're closing in on December. But I guess Christmas gatherings are picking up steam. You know, like, you know, all these gatherings are coming up. Let's meet up before the holidays and stuff. But again, folks, if you do enjoy this podcast, please like, share, and subscribe to it, and let's grow our community. On behalf of Alex Shanks, I'm Alex Pang. Thanks for tuning in to episode 65 of the Canadian Mortgage Show. We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Now, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure to follow us. Please give us a 5-star rating. You can even send us an email because we want to know what you guys want to hear about. That's what we're here for. Reach out anytime.